Welcome back to the Explainer. So, today we're diving into something that literally drives all of us crazy at some point: phone battery drain. We've all sat through those tutorials with generic tips that don't really do anything, right? Well, scratch that. Today, we are breaking down 12 super specific, actually tested Android tricks from our source material that can legitimately double your battery backup. These aren't your run of the mill tips, they're targeted tweaks that are going to make a tangible difference. Seriously, are you just completely tired of constant battery drain? I mean, think about it. You're out running errands, maybe waiting on a super important call, or relying on GPS to navigate home, and bam, you look down and you're in the dreaded red zone. It induces this very real low-level anxiety, doesn't it? Feeling like you're constantly tethered to a wall charger is just exhausting. But the good news, you really don't have to live with that daily battery anxiety anymore. And here's the massive promise right from the source material: 10. By systematically applying these 12 tricks, you could actually add up to 10 extra hours of standby time to your phone. Honestly, that's wild. But not only that, you can also squeeze out an entirely new 1 to 2 hours of actual active screen time. Just think about what an extra 2 hours of active use means for your day. It's literally the difference between carrying around a dead piece of glass at 6 p.m. and having a functional phone that easily coasts right into bedtime. Okay, let's dive into this. To keep things simple and avoid overwhelming you, we're breaking these 12 disparate tricks down into 3 easy-to-win thematic battles. First, master your display settings. Second, optimize connectivity and networks. And third, control background phone systems. Battle number 1, master your display settings. Because let's face it, your screen is almost always the absolute biggest battery vampire on your smartphone. So these quick visual fixes are going to yield some instant returns. First up, enable auto brightness instead of tweaking it manually all day. Let your phone's ambient sensors do the heavy lifting when you step into a dark room. Second, flip on dark mode across your entire system. And third, this one is absolutely crucial, apply a completely black wallpaper to both your home and lock screens. Here's why. On modern OLED and AMOLED screens, displaying the color black actually turns that specific pixel completely off. So by using a black wallpaper, you are basically rescuing your battery from thousands of energy-hungry glowing pixels every single time you wake up your phone. How cool is that? Now, another major power draw is the screen refresh rate. A lot of phones come out of the box trying to run at 90 or 120 hertz, just to make scrolling look, a tiny bit smoother. But forcing your screen to redraw itself 120 times a second, that absolutely shreds your battery power. And this brilliantly illustrates why locking your screen's refresh rate to the standard 60 Hz setting is a massive power saver over letting it run on automatic or high. You probably won't even notice the visual difference when you're just reading an article or checking messages, but the efficiency gained is incredibly noticeable. All right, here's a super surprising trick directly from the source. Enable the eye comfort display feature, but specifically set it to grayscale or black and white mode. By stripping away all those vibrant dynamic colors, you instantly remove the immense processor power needed to render them. The source actually guarantees that toggling this exact feature unlocks over 30 extra minutes of pure battery life. It's an absolutely fantastic, kind of hidden tactic to deploy when you're dipping below 20% and really need your phone to survive the commute home. 15 seconds. That is the ideal screen timeout setting, period. I mean, think about how often your phone just sits there glowing in an empty room because the timeout is set to 1 or 2 minutes. Dropping that automatic timeout down to a strict 15 seconds claws back a shocking amount of wasted power throughout a 24-hour period. It's a tiny behavioral adjustment for sure, but the cumulative effect on your battery backup is huge. Moving on to battle number 2, optimize connectivity and networks. This is all about how your phone communicates with the outside world and how much power it drains doing it. Constantly searching for signals and grabbing data drains an immense amount of power behind the scenes. Now, what's really interesting here is why switching from 5G down to 4G saves massive power. Look, 5G is incredibly fast, yes, but it is also notoriously power hungry. If you're just checking emails, sending text, or scrolling through articles, you just don't need 5G speeds. Keep it on 4G for daily endurance, and honestly, only switch back to 5G if you hit a daily data limit or genuinely need that high bandwidth. Let 4G give your battery life back. For connectivity, there are 3 quick rules to live by. First, limit your mobile hotspot to 5 or 10-minute bursts. Leaving a hotspot on endlessly will absolutely destroy your battery. Turn it on, get what you need done, and shut it off. Second, disable your mobile data entirely when the phone is just sitting idle. And third, embrace airplane mode. If you're in a spot with terrible signal, your phone is going to frantically drain its battery trying to find a tower. Just flip on airplane mode until you're back in a good coverage zone. And that brings us to our final category, Control background phone systems. This is where we finally rein in those invisible background processes that are secretly draining power behind our backs. Okay, let's move to our next tactic and see how this builds into something powerful. We're going to carefully walk through navigating these specific advanced developer options. By going to Settings, then System and Updates, and unlocking developer options, you'll find the background process limit. By default, Android lets multiple apps run wildly in the background, but changing this to at most one process severely limits what can run when you aren't actively looking at it. Doing this is essentially plugging a massive hidden power leak right in your phone's gas tank. To round out this section, we have two really essential system habits. First, actively use the low power or power saving mode found right in your battery menu. Don't wait until you're dying at 10%, just toggle it on earlier in the day for a more balanced power profile. And second, keep all of your apps completely up to date. Developers release patches to fix bad code all the time, so an outdated app is quite often a rogue app that's just unnecessarily draining your battery. Finally, your ultimate battery setup. Let's bring all this together into one empowering strategy. So, the crucial point is this. By mastering these 12 settings, you can reclaim up to 10 hours of standby power and 2 hours of active screen time. Think about it. You've systematically audited your device, rather than just blindly applying generic tips. You've tackled the display, locked down the network connections, and completely suffocated those rogue background processes. That constant, nagging worry of a dying battery right when you need it most, you don't have to worry about that anymore. Which leaves us with one final, pretty provocative thought. Will you control your smartphone's power, or will you let it continue to control yours? The settings are completely in your hands now. Take back your battery life, enjoy your newly optimized device. Thanks so much for joining this explainer, and keep on learning.